6th versus 7th, and this can really push those teams below them even further down in the standings.
Yeah, no one's mathematically, I think, guaranteed in or out just yet, but we're rapidly approaching that situation. 6 games left to play for both of these teams. 2-game difference, and if FlyQuest wins this one, they own the head-to-head 2-0, so they would dominate any tiebreaker. Picks and bans coming through. Cassiopeia, Scion. Ooh, Ryze actually banned second, so I'm now a bad analyst, unfortunately, but still banned away red side.
On the bright side, you were already a bad analyst.
That's true.
Really changed,
hasn't gotten any worse. I appreciate you very much.
But Skarner going to be banned out there as well. Definitely expecting to see a lot of those red side bans of the champion. People really liking how strong he was last patch, even more so on this patch. I actually think he's one of the junglers that really loves Chilling Smite, and I think that the fact that he can actually take that really increases his early game power, makes his ganks much more powerful than before, where he was more reliant on level 6 before he started those ganks. So I don't think we're going to see much Skarner on 8.4 at all.
Yeah, I think it's pretty unlikely. The ban list is going to be filled with that name, and the Skarner and his kind will remain off the Rift.
His kind?
His kind. He misses his kind. They've been banned away. I mean, I don't know. I didn't get very far with that one. But first pick for TSM. Hauntzer looked animated. I don't know what he was excited about, but well, it's going to be an Ezreal for Zven. That's going to be what they're excited about. Okay. Sadly, he's not going to build Archangel, so that's not going to be much of a buff. I mean, who knows? AP Ezreal might be back.
AP Ezreal mid for Bjergsen.
Yeah, what if no one ever thought of that one? It's actually just nuts, and it's the best way to play Ezreal now.
Well,
unlikely.
Unlikely, but maybe we'll see it. We won't.
We won't. But maybe we'll see it.
But we might.
So Ezreal for Zven, of course, usually a pretty good early to mid-game spiking champion. We'll see what else comes into that one. But look at that, FlyQuest once again back on the Caitlyn train. Yes, they lost to Aphromu's Blitzcrank and the rest of 100 Thieves last week playing the champion. I think she's still very strong. And again, if your read on the metagame is early game power, Caitlyn is the premier pick for that.
And I do not think it was due to the strategy or the picks. I think it was due to execution, right? You know, the early gank that they died to, Stunt had his flash up. It was a max range hook that he did not flash. Many times throughout the game thereafter, Aphromu was in vision of WildTurtle and he was unable to flash the hooks there. So, you know, that's a game that you can look at and instead of doing results-based analysis, you say, hey, no, this was actually a good pick. We just messed up.
Yeah.
We can play it better, and we can execute on it better. So going to be very interesting to see if they pair a range support alongside it, because Mithy, generally speaking, loves the tank supports. I'm expecting to see him lock in this Braum or Alistar or Tom Kench or something along those lines. And if he does, and you want to abuse this lane, you can go for things like Nami Caitlyn and some of the really kind of dominant 2v2 lanes, or even just the Janna Caitlyn again, and try to push them in, try to take turrets early, and kind of move that power around the map.
Yeah, worth pointing out, FlyQuest did not have to rush the Caitlyn pick just yet. There's no rush on getting your AD carry grab, considering that the Ezreal's already locked in, so they chose to hide one more of the roles and wait to see more of Champ select before they picked their jungler or their top laner support here. So we'll see if this ends up being a counter pick for the last pick of the first phase.
Yeah, exactly. And that may be why TSM is actually selecting their jungler here. If you think that they're trying to get a first round counter pick, sometimes you want to save your solo laners for the second round so that they can not counter pick both, because otherwise red side first round counter picks one of them, and then they get to first round counter pick your other, or second round, your other solo laner. So pretty interesting, and we'll see if this actually is going to get locked in as a Morgana Caitlyn lane here.
Really not surprising.
Yeah.
Considering their play style seems to be, I mean, again, they did it with the Caitlyn Janna last weekend. Let's go play for early bot lane pressure. The Morgana should be an amazing matchup into Braum. Should be almost impossible to be stunned. And this could be a very extreme amount of pressure from that bot side. We'll see the bans come through as FlyQuest, of course, know that there is not a matched mid laner yet and can remove 2 from Bjergsen's pool.
And while it isn't surprising to see the range support, you know, I talked about that, I think it made a lot of sense. I am a little bit surprised to see the Morgana in particular from Stunt, simply because it's not something I've seen him play really at all. He has not brought it out this season yet, and you know, his sub support did play at one game, JJ, so we know it's been involved in some of their scrims. But we'll see how he's going to be able to perform on it. It's generally seen as much more of a niche champion. It's something that's never kind of entirely disappeared from the NALCS, but it's more looked at as, oh, this is this guy's pocket pick. Olay used to play it a fair bit. Hakuo would play it. Morgana, you know, would be brought out sometimes by Aphromu every once in a while. But generally speaking, it was more about the player and less about the champion. So very interested to see how Stunt is going to be able to perform on this, because this is a lane you should win early, and that's the expectation, right? You need to be able to do well in the early game and be able to start those sieging and move around the map and get gold advantages.
And you want to point out, FlyQuest 2 bans were probably the 2 premier wave clear mid laners. You have other champions that, of course, exist, like Corki, that's pretty strong, but doesn't just shotgun down mid in the same way that Victor and Taliyah do, so it could still be more along that lines of trying to press those 20-minute victories. Shen off the table. The Zac also, as of course TSM have a mismatched jungle pick here in this game. Neither team have shown top laners yet, but TSM wanted to ban away Shen. They will have to play something else in the matchup. You would give him props to Trundle earlier, though not sure if that's going to make sense as a blind right now for FlyQuest, but have to see what they want to do. Jungle and top, the required roles here for the squad, and they're going to go for the Nunu, actually.
Okay.
Jungle's going to be, yeah, a champion that we did see a couple teams think about being viable and important because of the increased pressure on Baron, and that will be the case here.
I mean, I think it makes a lot of sense for a lot of reasons. You know, the fact that they're leaving Flame for the counter pick is going to be really nice in his matchup against Hauntzer. Flame can be pretty lane dominant. The Nunu in combination with the Azir here is also exceptionally strong. You talk about Banner plus Baron. This gives you extreme access to taking that early Baron. You can actually two-man Baron with just the Azir and the Nunu extremely quickly. Like, I'm talking 10 seconds when the Azir is doing well, and you can do it so early, so there's always going to be the threat of that. I also think Nunu Caitlyn is very powerful, so I really do like the pick. It's going to be how well can they execute on it.
The case with TSM going to run double tank. Camille blind pick top lane for Hauntzer. That's going to be fun one to watch for. And Syndra is actually one of the things that I thought about at the very beginning when people started talking about bannered Baron minions. We don't have a good acronym for that one. Sorry, everyone. It's a lot of syllables.
The Banon minion.
Yeah, the Banon minion. There's lots of ones you could go for that one. But Syndra, with her W, can just grab that from so far away and be like, nope, this cannon minion thrown back inside the pit. We're going to knock that one down this way. Now it's going to be a Cho'Gath top lane here for Flame. But yeah, Syndra can stymie those Baron pushes really easily by just selecting the cannon minion, throwing it back into the team, and killing it away. So a siege might not be so easy for FlyQuest here.
Yeah, definitely a nice little answer there. I've got to say, Cho'Gath, about one of the least exciting last picks you can see.
Exactly true.
As far as an answer there into Camille. I'm not really expecting that to be much in Flame's advantage. Yes, you may have somewhat of an early advantage, be able to push this guy in, bully Hauntzer around a little bit, but the fact that Hauntzer can blind pick a Camille and just be playing into essentially a generic tank is going to be feeling pretty good for him. The fact that FlyQuest did not have any counter pick there, but you can also say, well, maybe they're kind of cornered on their options because they wanted to play a two-tank team and these sorts of things. Sion was banned out, you know, Shen was banned out, so pretty. Should
have played Volibear.
Volibear is really good on 8.4. I actually think Volibear into Camille is actually a really good matchup, and I know you're maybe saying it sarcastically, but the
I think it's a good champion
on the hook shot
into Camille
is super good.
Yeah, no, I'm on your side with this one. I think that champion is super good, but it's not the pick here. It's Cho'Gath. Excitement abound. TSM 6-6, FlyQuest 4-8. Once again, playoff jockeying important in this one. 6th and 7th place in the standings coming into this one right here. And we'll see how it's going to go. A lot of bot lane pressure going to be available for FlyQuest. Duo the Caitlyn Morgana should have a lot going on. Of course, Hauntzer's Camille can feel pretty solid about his top lane matchup. Blind picked it, found a tank to fight anyway. We are going to get ourselves onto the Rift.
Also worth mentioning the fact that FlyQuest's Academy team actually ran the same top side of the map on Thursday. So they ran the Cho'Gath Nunu Azir and won with it. So, you know, this is something that they have tried out through their Academy team. And you know, something that I didn't mention about Cho'Gath is obviously his incredible Baron secure as well. You know, now you have Smite, you have Consume, you have Feast, plus you have all the bursts coming out here from Azir. So this should be essentially an unstealable objective if they do rush it. Yes, there is the opportunity to really mess it up, but I mean, come on, you have such a big advantage. And any time those three go missing from the map, the Baron could die almost instantly. But TSM is looking for an early invade here, seeing if they can catch anyone out, and we'll see if they spot out. And Onda sees them, so he should be able to just back off. And this will at least let TSM know where the Nunu is starting, and that may be just all the information that TSM is actually looking for. But no trigger ward down just yet. Now a couple are going to be placed.
Okay. And of course, TSM don't know. They can assume, but they don't know for sure that they were actually spotted doing this. But of course, they were, and a lot of that information has been given away as a deep ward comes down from the FlyQuest side as well. We got ourselves in the laning phase. Do you want to, again, call attention to that WildTurtle Caitlyn? I think it, again, is going to make a lot of sense. This seems to be a team comp built around early game pressure and the chance that 20-minute Baron rushes to the top side of the map, and I want to see how both those halves are going to interact as time goes on.
Also worth pointing out the fact that Mithy did bring Dematerializer this game. I think that when you're playing against this team that is so clearly focused on getting early advantages, securing Baron, and very likely rushing the banner strategy, then you should have Dematerializer. You should be holding on to some of those charges because that will allow you to delay and answer some of the kind of push that is going to be coming out and some of that pressure. And that may allow them the difference between a game just ending or a game being stalled out and then being able to find fights and come back.
the case. We'll see what comes through into this one, as the early pressure, of course, of the push comes down to the Morgana Caitlyn. No one is surprised at all. As they're going to push this one in. Perfect CS so far for WildTurtle, and full miss the Q, unlucky, but it won't really change anything. Nice buy once again landed there, and Bloom this time around was on cooldown, so it gets the full damage.
And it's also worth pointing out the fact that Nunu doesn't need a leash, right? So the bot lane could just start down here with the early push, and that's why they have such a significant advantage in this push already, and will be able to kind of shove in their opponents and look to be able to try to bully them out.
Quick push for Cho is...
Yeah, Flame's just going to kind of move in here and just try to get down some wards, and we'll be able to spot MikeYeoung very, very likely as he comes out of that brush. So this is always a smart play. If you do get the super early push and you can reset the wave, you're not really missing anything to actually go over there and just drop down your trinket ward. Both junglers do spot each other now.
Yeah. I actually knew MikeYeoung was there anyway because he had revealed blue buff, but it didn't turn off the mini-map. So he's like, okay, blue is alive, but I can't see it. It must be in the brush being fought by Sejuani. Knew exactly where he was, and that all turned out just fine. Small one camp lead for Onda, but that camp is a scuttle crab, so it's not the most important one. Gets revealed by the Scryers. Bloom sees the trinket ward down as well, and looks like MikeYeoung can keep farming.
Yeah,
farm lead for Flame top lane as well. With a much bigger wave ready to kill.
Yeah, much bigger wave, and you're going to get that advantage when you do shove in the waves early on. It can be sometimes a bit difficult to get every single CS under turret, and having the early push is something that Cho'Gath does usually get as this champion, and we can see Turtle and Stunt pushing up. It's important to get as many auto attacks down on the turret as possible in these early stages. I do think Turtle could have gotten 1 or 2 extra in a situation like that. And yes, it is a very minor thing, but so much of the strategy of a bot lane like this, when you're going double range with a Caitlyn, you need to be getting early turrets, and that requires constant chip. And you want to be whittling it down time and time again so that when you do get an opportunity and you force them back to base, then you can finish it off. But Hauntzer is really far up. Onda kind of went the wrong way.
MikeYeoung's here, though, and he's in the brush. Nice trinket ward spots that is happening. Guardian Shield comes in for Moose, which means he can land the knockup, and Hauntzer does not have a way out. First blood into the top lane for Flame.
Nicely done. They're actually engaging here, but Mithy is really low. I don't know if he should have taken that fight.
I don't know if he meant to even hit W on the minion, but he jumped all the way forward on that. Might have backpicked off his cube. Yeah, that's a lot of damage dealt on him. It pulls the Ignite out of Stunt, though. But hey, he stays alive. He can spell back the TP and come back to lane.
He can, but I mean, that's going to kill your pressure even more.
Yeah.
If you're actually expending your teleport here, there's no threat of the 2v2 all in without the Ignite, I think. And Zven is going to get chunked out a bit, so we'll see if he does decide to TP. For now, he's just going to walk, and I think that is the right choice, but
Flame missed that fight by a lot, though. Dawn on Health has a flash away. He had brought Cleanse otherwise, so no heal to survive this one. Bjergsen, off the aggression out of Fly, gets a nice little laning lead.
Yeah, so a couple of mistakes here across the map, but back to the top side again. Flame getting a lot of damage down here on Hauntzer, able to sidestep the hook shot. Onda probably should have went through Tri-Brush, but it was hard to know which way Hauntzer was going to go out. Flash Snowball forces the flash there out of Hauntzer, and then Flame, seeing that the two are split up, goes for the flash knockup. It is still on a slowed target, so you're going to be able to hit him from that.
Nicely done here. So we have blue smite for MikeYeoung, red smite for the Nunu. I do think Nunu does not need blue for himself. He's got so many flows, you'll almost never actually stack them meaningfully and get some dueling power to that. But MikeYeoung going to set up his ganks more easily.
Exactly. The dueling power really is the big thing. It's kind of funny when you're jungling against a Nunu. It doesn't feel like he should be able to win a lot of these duels, but with Red Smite and constant slows from a Snowball and his Blood Boil, you really can't get away from him. He can kind of slap you to death sometimes, or at least push you out of your jungle. So definitely something you have to be aware of. But so far, honestly, on the bot side, despite the little mess up there from Mithy, the CS is very even, and it's not a tremendous amount of turret damage that has been put in just yet. So TSM can feel pretty happy about that.
Yeah, I gotta say, it's pretty reasonable here. This game right now is a 600 difference as FlyQuest look for this Drake to pick up, and as Mithy's pushed away, looks like it will not be safe. Those MikeYeoung's coming by as well, and they're not quite willing to pull the trigger on all of this. So the attempt at Drake's gonna be stymied here, and they'll walk back. Botlane still putting a little bit of pressure on, but it's only a 2 CS lead, so yeah, not a lot to show for themselves in this bot side, as Mithy did walk back safely enough with his tier 2 item. He's feeling okay for himself. He sees 3 of his dematerializers, might be saving the rest of them for a rainier day if Baron does fall to the opposing side.
Yeah, and sometimes we see people go dematerialized, and you're like, oh, brilliant, they're going to save it for the Baron.
And they don't.
And then they just use them very early on, and it's not really impacting that. And there are arguments that kind of against both sides. Theoretically, if you can get a better base off of using a dematerializer charge on a cannon, that is worth quite a bit too. Or if it saves your turret from going down earlier because you're using it on a cannon, these sorts of things can be pretty nice. But you need to kind of have to weigh that value, the immediate value, versus how much you could lose if you can't deal with that cannon later on.
So here comes the stun on this one. Of course, it is a flashless Cho'Gath. Finds the slow, gets the ulti done as well. MikeYeoung is going to be here, flashing for the Q to land even more crowd control, and is their way out for Flame 200 HP, and they cannot dive. MikeYeoung actually felt a little bit early in landing that Q because he was still inside the ultimatum. Either way, a walk away for Flame.
Yeah, nicely done there by Flame, and the early Ninja Tabbies from that first blood is really going to do a lot of work in a fight like that, reducing all that auto attack damage, and the base is coming in now here from both AD carry. A little bit of farm will be lost to the turret here for Zven, but he got a really nice buy. You know, being able to get your tier plus your sheen is a really good feeling for any Ezreal player. Turtle has a strong buy of his own, but now it's going to be how heavily can you pressure, because I do feel like you need to get more of an advantage from this lane for it to have really been worthwhile.
So Mountain Drake picked up is actually the probably literally ideal Drake to pick if you are trying to get a 20-minute Baron rush, which just seems to be part of what this comp is trying to do. Top lane lead, of course, helping a bit as well, though the farm is not that, the kill is, and he's armor stacking, making it much easier to fight up against Hauntzer. Minion still killed off in the mid lane. Bjergsen up to plus 10 CS, and he's also going for an Archangel's build on this champion versus the Nashor's Tooth of Fly here. So Bjergsen, again, going for a heavy raw AP build.
And it's going to give you a lot of survivability there, too. Once you actually fully stack the tier, you have your Archangels. That shield is very, very powerful.
Oh, yeah.
And it's actually probably more powerful than a barrier, I would say. It is a pretty long cooldown, but it depends on how much mana you have and what items you're actually going to build. But either way, it's an extra defensive. And when you have that in combination with the heal, it can make diving onto this guy very, very difficult. Also worth pointing out, you know, it's not just about the armor here for Flame, but I love the fact that he's building early CDR with the Glacial, because stacking your ultimate is such a big part of kind of gaining power on this Cho'Gath. And when you can actually get some early CDR, start stacking it on minions very frequently, as we see Flame doing, I always really do like that, because while you do give up some lane pressure by expending your ultimate, they know you probably can't get an all-in kill or anything like that. Oftentimes I see players sitting on that ultimate cooldown for such a long time and not really making anything out of it, and then you're just behind on fee stacks. Whereas at 9 minutes, Flame already has his second fee stack, he already has some CDR, and he's going to be working well towards this kind of 20-minute point where he wants to be very powerful, right? If you are going to be trying to fight around the Baron, if you are going to be rushing for that, and having extra fee stacks is going to make a big difference.
That's the case right here. So Bjergsen gets himself a blue buff, and a defensive control ward comes through for MikeYeoung, keeping his side of the jungle alive. Quest complete at 9:30 here for Stunt. He's got one ward to put down as he needs. Not quite yet there for Mithy, but he's at 487, so he's literally 1 minion away from the quest himself. So very similar sights from these bot lanes. Minion lead only 6.
Only 2 dematerializer charges left for Mithy, so always kind of have to track that, see if it's going to be an issue at all. They're looking to set up a dive here.
Dive, flash away, keeps Zven out, but that's a nice little route, and the shield goes the wrong way. There's no escape, and Onda puts his health bar to absolute 0. 2-0 FlyQuest.
Yeah, nicely done, and now you can really pressure the turret with a Blood Boil Nunu coming up here. MikeYeoung is going to try to respond on the top side, try to dive Flame, but his Feast is back up, and he is very healthy. He's built a lot of armor. MikeYeoung will be able to do some damage, but he's actually just going to back off because Bjergsen is missing here too.
This is really smart by Flame, and he should have the time to get away. He's going to get stunned, and here comes actually that Syndra as well. So first turret falls, and top to the map looks like Cho just able to walk away, no problems. Bjergsen's not even going to ult for it, but it will mean a trade of turrets. This top one is going to fall.
I actually feel like FlyQuest in this case should have continued to push, because there's no way you're actually getting up to the top side to stop that, and Flame kind of walking back is probably just dead now.
In a 1v3, the flash 4, they're going to find the stun. The ult's going to be no problem. Don't even need to use it. Yeah, Flame over-aggresses, loses the flash, still dies at just the 1-2 ultimates.
Yeah, I mean, that was kind of poorly done there by Flame. Yes, it cost Bjergsen's flash, but I really feel like FlyQuest, when you have the 3-man on the bot side into 1, top side turret is already guaranteed to go down. Perhaps should have just continued the push.
I agree.
With the 3-man. You sacrifice top turret, you try to pressure for the tier 2. Instead, this is the play they have made. They have gotten their bottom lane up to the top side earlier. We'll see if that's actually going to get them any sort of advantage if they can convert on that.
15 seconds or so of that alone time as the Ezreal Zven is walking up. Does have ulti, he can thin the wave if he needs to, but right now it's the Morgana putting wards down to make sure they're safe, and not that much turret damage going to be happening, it feels like, too quickly. Mithy puts the defensive controller down as well to keep them all alive. MikeYeoung is here, though, meaning it's a 3-person defense, and not even a single bullet sent towards that turret.
Yeah. So definitely not working out exactly how FlyQuest wants, but despite that, they do get first turret on the bottom side of the map, so we're able to convert on that, and have a dragon to their name here as well, which is going to help them with any neutral objectives. There's also the chance of punishing Bjergsen for that flash being down, and if you can do that, then it's not nearly as much of a loss for Flame dying on the top side. So we'll see if they can do that and kind of play aggressively.
As long as Flame noticed it happen during the fight in the 1v3, if he kept track, then they should know. 600 gold lead for FlyQuest, not huge, but does matter to a certain degree. BF Sword plus Zeal in for WildTurtle is plenty of good turret damage, but at the same time, Zven's already stacking up some Morgana with Sheen on top, so it's a pretty good item spike for the Ezreal. No turret to defend them. FlyQuest going to walk back on that side of the map, and we'll see if they can find that opening on a Bjergsen.
And look at Hauntzer. He's here around the mid lane. They're trying to kind of play defensively around Bjergsen, anticipating perhaps some sort of a go onto him with his flash being down, and also knowing if Fly goes forward at all and Camille can catch you in that ultimate, certainly can turn that around and get a kill pretty easily. But things for Flame, not going too bad. He did actually lose a fair bit of experience getting zoned off those minions and losing all of that to the turret. But because of the first blood, because of the fact that he's already doing well in lane, it's still in his advantage somewhat and building towards a righteous glory, it looks like there. So first item going to be pretty nice for the engage.
I don't remember all the pieces that build in a Raptor Cloak, but Raptor Cloak doesn't have a Crystal Embracer in it, I don't think. So yeah, it's not that. And there we go. He gets himself some more health and cooldown reduction, building towards his next piece of his items here as Trinity Force is getting closer and closer for Hauntzer. We'll see what the next aggressive play is going to be. Bjergsen, 18 seconds, and you're going to see that FlyQuest has swapped their lanes back in TSM the same, put the teleports on the opposite side, put your dual lanes nearby. Camille getting the first push, though. Hauntzer is going to put that under turret, and that's going to give him a little bit of pressure on TSM's side, but a poke comes through for Zven as well. Not quite as slow on a stunt, but FlyQuest losing a bit of their territory right now. Actually, it's TSM who control this river.
It definitely is, but Flame will have a little bit of alone time up on the top side against that turret. Just not sure that's really going to get them anything. And if Turtle comes over to fight at this dragon, then he loses all the minions to the turret. So I feel like TSM is definitely set up better for this, and Onda just kind of wandering in.
Ooh, they're almost going to get the kill on this one. The ulti's burned, though, for two of them, two of the Glacials, and there was the pickup onto Baron. MikeYeoung gets it. The stun's going to be found towards Fly, jumps over the wall, but now pulls Camille with him, knocks him right back over, and gets away. Nice escape of Fly is low on health, but he's going to run out. Drake already picked up by TSM, and there's no real fight to be had. Flame TP'd in, and no purchase found.
Yeah, the TP did absolutely nothing. I mean, you don't even have your ultimate up. There's no real way for him to get super involved in that fight. It just felt like TSM was much better prepared for the dragon, and FlyQuest tried to force something around it anyway because they're like, we have the Nunu, we have all the secure, we should be trying to get these objectives, especially when it is a double mountain for your comp you would really love, but either way, it is going to cost them the teleport and the flash off of Onda, and they will not get the dragon.
Yeah, so TSM playing that mid-game quite nicely, hoping to build another one-game lead over FlyQuest. They've got two right now. Another one, of course, would be a three-game gap over what would then be the 8th place team, as Optic would fill in 7th. But it's a good thing for TSM, who had such a rough start to this split. And though everyone said, we'll turn it on by the end of the game, it was still a bit nerve-wracking for the fans. This would mark at least 3 wins in a row if they can knock this one down.
And I mean, it still is a bit nerve-wracking right there. Definitely still behind in gold. FlyQuest still has some pretty strong purchase in this game. We'll see what they can get done for themselves, but it is a bit concerning for FlyQuest and their fans, the fact that TSM is the one kind of taking these neutral objectives right now. They're going to get the Mountain Dragon. They're going to be able to take this Rift Herald, which could be converted into another turret and kind of tie up that gold lead. Right, and unless you are ahead, it is tough. Despite the fact that you can burst down the Baron exceptionally fast, it is tough to actually go for that. With the other team knowing full well that is your strategy, with them being in a position where they can fight here too. And
it's part of why my tone had changed about, hey, what if TSM wins? Because despite this gold deficit, they're the ones dictating. They played around the Drake better. They got that with no casualties, forced an extra summoner out of it. Got the Rift Herald, no casualties there as well. They're keeping the farm up, and it feels like they are playing better in the mid game. Now, scaling is, of course, another consideration. Nunu plus Azir is really strong as a duo, we'll say. And Caitlyn is no slouch late game either, so we'll see what comes through into this one. If Flame can hold up against Hauntzer, so far okay.
Yeah, and the Black Shield to protect you against perhaps any sort of Sejuani or Braum engage is going to be pretty nice there. But definitely feel that TSM has been playing better in the last couple minutes, and the advantages have not been as big where you would expect them for FlyQuest, despite the fact that they got first turret on bot side. They did require Onda coming down.
Looking for it, 2v1. Arcane shift out. Zven does have flash. Stunt's going to walk up for the bind, and nicely done. Makes Zven flash away from that one. And now Onda here as well. Actually chooses to fight the ward. Oh, no, that was TSM's control. Never mind. He was visible. Kills it off.
Yeah, they could actually stay around and try to push this turret, but not a lot of minions available, so they're moving into TSM's jungle and maybe going to be able to try to find some sort of a fight, but both teams will back off for now, and it will be FlyQuest pushing back here up on the top side with this next wave.
Shift done for WildTurtle means easy wave clear, but is not going to pull the trigger for actually dealing damage to these turrets. He's prioritizing his uptime a bit higher. Does not have the money for a full Infinity Edge, though. It's just going to be like maybe Zerkgreaves and a pickaxe.
I'm also going to say I like the choice here from Zven of going towards the Triforce instead of going Iceborne. As you see so many people do these days, there's not a lot of physical damage on this FlyQuest team. There are multiple beefy frontliners that you're going to have to be working through in this Nunu and Cho'Gath. So I definitely think it makes a lot of sense to just kind of opt for the higher DPS build there of the Triforce.
Certainly is more damage to go for that one, and I tend to agree. I do like the higher damage version of the build. And of course, still it's up to the players at the end of the day. You look back in his mid-game as TSM are continuing to close the gap. It's now only 100 apart. It was 600 without any blood lost since last time, so still a pretty well-played game by these guys. Nice stun going to be landed. Big damage on a stunt. Pops his... Ooh, the knockup is still going to land. He actually flashed into it to take more damage there, but staying alive now as he kites away. A big stun to the front line. They go for the dive, and they got that one. Nicely done by Hauntzer. Finds the second. WildTurtle going to lose his life. The shell is gone. And Zven actually walks up for a bit more damage to Onda. Mid lane turret has fallen. TSM with a great tower dive.
That was just so well done. Pushing up the waves, making the collapse happen. They get a couple kills. They get the turret. This was just really nicely played there by TSM. And now they have full vision control around the Baron as that 20-minute marker is approaching.
Really nicely done. They're gonna get the easy reset, put more items into the inventory, and continue to just scale onto the Sunset as we watch that dive once again.
Yeah, here it is again. It's the bottom lane kind of defending this mid turret, but no Black Shield actually able to come out to stop that Scatter of the Weak, and then Stunt flashing does get tagged by the Braum ult there. Anyway, it was a nice binding over onto Bjergsen, but Hauntzer coming in, MikeYeoung coming in. They were not ready for 5 men in the mid lane, and mid lane turret will get knocked down. The couple kills going TSM's way here as well. Fly is just not really there in time to kind of help defend it. Yeah, Flame was nowhere to be found.
And he was dealing with the wave that Hauntzer pushed in, lane priority in that side lane. The blind pick Camille even gives up first blood and still able to outlane Flame in terms of getting to roam first without losing farm. And now gonna look for the duel here again, and takes about 1/4 of his health bar off. Nicely done there.
Yeah, and with the red buff, you're going to feel really good about taking any sort of trades like that. You can regen back up pretty quickly. Mithy was also making the roam down there, so Flame is going to have to be pretty careful about that. But Flame has done a good job stacking up his beast. He is already at 6 stacks and has been for some time, buying the early CDR. In fact, he's on Righteous Glory is going to be pretty nice, but this is a team that works well when they are all together. This is not a team that is really, in my opinion, a good skirmishing team here for FlyQuest.
Right.
You have to have the Nunu zoning, blood boiling the carries, they're doing damage. Cho'Gath is blocking up damage in the front line there too. It needs to be a 5-man piece, and
that's what they're trying to do.
That's what they're doing right now.
Sorry, Mountain Drake is alive again, one that this team really wants to have as TSM walks forward, looking for the play. MikeYeoung in the front line, Hauntzer the same, on the bet down to half HP, and a big absolute zero going to buy a little bit of distance as they go for damage on a Mithy to get 1 kill picked off. The kite back work, and Fly comes in for a bit more, takes the ulti, but has enough MR to stay alive. 1500 HP onto that one. Onda gonna walk in, but no, he takes out his health bar, and he drops to Zven. Now the re-engage MikeYeoung, no problem to smite it away. Grabs the Drake, a trade of champions. Flashing over the wall as TSM come out, I'd say ahead.
Yeah, definitely agree there, and perhaps the rest of the FlyQuest members should have been pushing forward more aggressively to actually allow for Onda to get in there and get that dragon, because Bjergsen had no ultimate. Zven is down his heel, and we're going to watch this one again. The initial start to the fight is actually pretty good here for FlyQuest. Yes, they are getting chunked out a little bit, but it's Onda and it's Flame who get into the front line, who are absorbing the damage. Well, you see Turtle and Fly here in the back line, really getting quite a bit of DPS out. There's the absolute zero zoning. Flame is up in the front. They do knock down Mithy. And this is where it's kind of the dance back and forth, and I feel like Turtle and Stunt and Flame should have been
behind everyone.
Yeah, and I mean, Flame wants to go down the bot lane, looks like, honestly. He was walking down to perhaps get those minions and thinking maybe they could just take it for sure, but the rest of the team should have been moving forward to make space for Onda to go secure that dragon. It is a 5v4, and there's no reason for them to lose out, not only on the dragon, but also the kill.
Yeah, that's actually really shameful sort of post-fight movements there. Flames certainly should not have been in the back line. The rest of the team, I think, should have played up as well, but Catastrophes happen, and TSM do the better in terms of that misplay and kind of salvage a loss of champion, loss of Drake, and do +1 kill and getting it for themselves.
And it's one of those things where, you know, being able to understand the state of a team fight is so important. Tracking cooldowns, tracking positioning, understanding when your team is more or less powerful, if you need to be there, if you don't. And it feels like FlyQuest kind of failed to do that in that regard, you know, not ascertaining, okay, Bjergsen has no ultimate, so even, you know, it's harder for them to burst down our carries. You know, the fact that Mithy is down and maybe Flame made them powerful enough to 4v4, and, you know, these kind of miscalculations do result in some issues, and TSM has full control of vision around the Baron, and they're fighting for it.
Oh, and they found the pick on a fly in the top set as well. A nice ulti in for MikeYeoung. Got the damage there as well, and ult onto Onda. They're going to find the stun. Camille showing up, a nice flash over, gets him away, but now they've trapped Flame. A lot of damage there. Nearly taking on Hauntzer. The chomp was so much damage. The re-engage to the cross, of course, 4v5 is Zven in the side. Gonna find the kill into Onda. Jumps right back over the wall. Does not want to get re-engaged upon his WildTurtle. Kept enough damage to threaten Ezreal, so 2 quick kills picked up for TSM. They can run back towards Baron.
Yeah, they definitely can, and they could be the ones to just start it up. I mean, this is a 5v3 now. Definitely not much opportunity here for FlyQuest to get much done, and Flame has his Warmonks. He's regenning back up, but no feast available, so not much chance of a steal.
And double Mountain Drake means it's going to go really quickly down here. They're going to kind of walk forward, look for the play, but they're missing any kind of burst there. The blue team has picked up Baron. After TSM grabbed that without a problem at all. And now the 4,000 gold lead there, poised to take this one over.
Yeah, TSM is just looking very clean this game. It seems like they fully are aware of what FlyQuest win conditions are. They're playing very well around that and shutting them down. And Fly, you're kind of moving into the jungle here, no vision at all. You could not really afford to be doing that around this point in the game. You need to be with your team or having a tank face check. You know, someone like your Nunu or your Cho'Gath should be the ones walking in there, but with him going down, it's full retreat, and unfortunately, the Blood Boil not even on Caitlyn here. It's over on the Morgana, so, you know, Turtle putting out less damage than you would like to be doing. Not that I think it really would have changed this fight, but yeah, you know, things just not really working out for FlyQuest. It just feels like they're being out-positioned. TSM is simply moving around the map much better than their opponents.
Absolutely agree. So Baron buff on for another 2.5 minutes. Banner nearly done for mithy. He's halfway through to the item right here. He's also saved 2 minion dematerializers for the play, just in case it went the other way around. But now Flame has rejoined to fight here. A couple man silence, but there's no engage to be had. Fly could not really pull the trigger to go for the stream to shuffle back in.
And now they're in such an awkward position because Hauntzer's already on the turret in the top lane with his Triforce, with the Baron minions. Bjergsen is killing the bot lane turret there too. Minions were dying to the mid lane turret, so yes, they wanted to try to force a play there, but when you're not clearing waves in any of your 3 lanes, it becomes very obvious what you're trying to do, and that has kind of been the issue with a lot of FlyQuest game plan. It's just felt very choreographed, it's felt very obvious, and TSM has been able to read that and respond correctly, and now we're getting advantages across the map.
So nice play by TSM so far. They're looking to improve to 7 and 6 as they can continue to knock down building till 0 turret falls. Top lane tier 2 had already died to Hauntzer a second ago in that split push. Yep, going to go to the mid lane, going to get that one as well. Not a problem for them as their Baron power is looking pretty good. And still a minute 40 left on that buff means they can take more in this one. Already an 8,000 gold lead, and it can grow.
Exactly, and that is getting to the point where it becomes so tough to actually come back, despite the fact that FlyQuest has a pretty powerful 5v5 team composition. When you're that far down in gold, it's getting pretty rough, and the banner is actually completed. TSM will have some time where they could try to get out on the map here and quickly utilize that Baron banner minion. They may be doing just that. I mean, right in mid lane now, there's a cannon who is kind of being walked down by Hauntzer. We'll see if a mithy decides to go there, but he's heading to bot side.
Death cap coming soon for Bjergsen, so the power spike still moving forward and getting bigger on this one. He's going to pretty soon be a full item ahead of his lane opponent. Individual gold-wise, Bjergsen is up a lot, actually. It's more than 2,500 gold over his opposition. That is a huge lead.
Same thing in the top side, right? You know, that is a 2.5k gold lead for Hauntzer, who is going to be scaling very strongly in this 1v1. You know, they're over 1,000 up in the AD carry role here too. So really everything working well here for TSM, and they're marching this bannered up cannon down the bot lane and going to be looking to siege.
All right, so here we go. Onto the bot lane they move.
Look at those shots.
One, and put some damage into this one. 3. As the puck comes in. 4, that's down to 1/3 HP. And no one is here to defend
6.
it. Oh, it's hitting minions.
Oh no!
7.
Now, your count impression could use some work.
Yeah, you're right. I can count on you to tell me how to do it right.
I mean, we can just listen to the audience at this point. They're shoutcasting the game.
Right,
doing our work for us.
Oh, they knocked it into the air. It's been ruptured. No, the cannon minion! Okay, it's dead. But the mid lane is losing its life, and that's going to be another turret falling down. A second open inhibitor as TSM looking to keep this going. Look at that, 7,000 gold Baron power play.
Yep.
Pretty good, I'd say.
Yeah, I mean, they're 10K up now, and can look to move forward, knock down this second inhibitor turret. The top lane wave is stacking up for them, so they can even rotate back up there afterwards. And 3-man scatter of the week there from Bjergsen, but will not decide to commit to it. Just going to kind of play this slow and calculated. They're just looking to force FlyQuest into engaging into them.
Yep, and if they do, it's probably going to go badly because there's a lot more items on TSM's side, and Hib's going to fall. That should probably signal the reset. Everyone else is safe enough. Still a crit on his Zven, but he's fine. That's not going to matter either. Nicely done by Mithy. And now it's time to spend that money and really make that 10,000 gold work for you as TSM put the recalls through.
It's time to invest, you know?
Yep.
So, a lot of item completions coming through. It is going to be the death cap. Bjergsen is going to be ridiculously strong, and without any MR on either of the kind of carries here for Fly, if they actually do get comboed up here by Bjergsen, you will get instantly killed by this ridiculously strong Syndra at this point. 3 items with the death cap. He is level 16. If he can stack up the orbs, Bjergsen can 100% one of those carries, and that would be the end of the game. But even without that, TSM can kind of very calmly have Hauntzer shoving in the bot in the mid wave, threatening pressure down there. 4-man squad goes top, and you just look to knock down the last turret, the last inhibitor.
Nice to get rid of some more vision around this side of the map, but yeah, all it's left to do is push into the top lane and just end the game outright here. No need to wait for Baron 2, although judging by TSM's play throughout the year, they might anyway. And just take the really risk-averse guaranteed. Death cap is done, though, for Bjergsen. He is ready to go with control wards. Look at that. Bjergsen and 7 wards. That's now 6. That's the inventory for TSM right now, and we'll see what comes through into this as they are playing on this top jungle, and they're not really pushing into the lanes. It's a little split push from the Syndra, but otherwise not much. Looks like they will play for Baron 2 to win the game. And notice also that mithy is holding onto that banner cooldown. He will only wait until they get that Baron potentially.
They are also, though, just kind of waiting for supers to push in the bot lane. So, yeah. I mean, Camille's pushing in mid. Supers are going to push in bot. There is going to be about a timing window here in around 30 seconds where mid and bot lane are both pushing in, and top lane will have a wave, and that is when you can kind of threaten that additional turret up there if you want to go for it. But, I mean, at the same time, if you can actually toggle over to TSM vision, look at how many pinks they have in the FlyQuest jungle and how little vision there is there from the FlyQuest side. They really can't see anything at all.
Yeah, I think FlyQuest have exactly 1 ward in that northern jungle. The fog of war is otherwise everywhere else for the red team. And good luck being FlyQuest, leaving your base. Face-checking a 10,000 gold lead is not going to go well for you. TSM very slow to make the siege because, again, they know they have a very easy plan B if they can't knock this turret down by themselves.
And the minions now are kind of crashing in from both sides, so this next wave could offer some threat here to try to go forward onto this turret. But at the same time, as you say, 10 seconds on there, and it's such an easy retreat back to the objective. Yep. What they're seeing is kind of the guaranteed win. There is some risk of a Baron steal, and that's really the only hope here for FlyQuest at this point. But I mean, just even looking at some of the levels on these guys, 17 on both the soul laners for TSM, they're very, very strong.
Looks like they're 2-manning it now. Just the Sejuani plus Ezreal, just the 2 of them knocking down Baron, and the rest of TSM making sure that no one can show up. So you said the only risk is, well, what if it's a Baron steal? Well, they can literally watch Anda on some wards, or Anda, I should say, and there's the Baron picked up by 2, no problem. 1 final reset, and this should be a game-ending push. TSM improving to 7-6 as the result of it. Unless a miracle defense happens, but I just don't see it coming through for FlyQuest here.
I mean, it's 11,000 in the gold lead. You go back, you all buy up your elixirs, you have the potions, you have so much combat power right now on the side of TSM. For FlyQuest, it would require some sort of honestly, you can't even say miracle engage because they don't really have the power from their engage unless it's an
Flash
shuffle
snowball
into like 5 people or
Flash
something.
snowball, Azael, how dare you?
Okay, you're right, you're
Nunu,
right.
hardest engage of all time.
But either way, I mean, it's going to require something incredible from them, or a massive misstep, or actually a massive series of missteps, probably more likely, from TSM. But FlyQuest have just not really shown the propensity to kind of look for these plays and find these plays so far this game. It's been mostly TSM since the kind of pretty early stages.
Inferior minion in the top lane, by the way, not bannered, but still getting damage across, by the way. Even without it, it got buffed, and there we go. That turret's going to fall, and the final inhibitor drop is mid and bot are respawning soon enough, though. Couple more shots come in. Zven gonna put some poke down, gets the Morgana on a half HP, kites away and stays alive in this one, getting away from the Caitlyn traps.
And Hauntzer's knocking down the bottom inhibitor. And there are minions there for him. He's his banner buffed up, or Baron buffed up rather, and he's going to be marching those forward. This is going to be the third inhibitor. FlyQuest looks like they're going to go down without even a fight here. Just kind of seeding everything.
Might just end 6-3 as they clear away what minions they can. Finding a stun on to meet some damage up, but again, as they can start putting more and more of these shots down to these turrets. Banner of command available one more time. Can buff up the top side, and there it is. The shots can come through. This could be the game-ending push onto this one. Look at the damage output. Nunu gets absolutely deleted. The front line Cho'Gath running out of health pretty rapidly as well. Just no one to stop them, but a nice turnaround. One kill at least as mithy falls, but does it really matter? A nice shuffle means maybe as Zven, but still staying alive low on HP, and the rest of the team is gonna fall. TSM will win the final team fight, only losing a single kill, and they will take that win and their 3-game lead over FlyQuest.
Nicely done there for TSM, and 3 wins in a row now. Looking on their side, things are definitely looking up. They have been playing better and better. This was a pretty impressive game from them, very controlled. They just seemed to move around the map better. They anticipated what FlyQuest wanted to do, and they shut it down very, very heavily, denying most of the neutral objectives and never really allowing FlyQuest to, use their strategy.
Yep. TSM moves up to a tie for 5th with 100 Thieves, who they coincidentally play tomorrow, which means they can take sole control of 5th place at the very worst, and that fate is under their hands right now. FlyQuest, it's getting out of reach. Down 3 games with 5 to play. They need some help, honestly, if they want to make it to the postseason. Unlike the previous seasons here in the North American LCS, 7th, 8th, 9th, and 10th are all the same. It's you didn't make playoffs, see you next split. And so 7th is not much of a consolation here like it was the years before. The FlyQuest certainly have been having problems with execution. I think time and again there have been some very weird situations where they should get that Drake and then Flame runs away and they just give up a kill and they give up the objective, or they're late to the play and just it's been falling apart, even though their plans do look good, and I still like their drafts. I think they have ways of doing it, but it's just not coming together. Yeah,
exactly. I really do feel like a lot of their drafts make a lot of sense, but it's execution and it's finding the right timing for all these plays.
But it's better timing and better play by TSM, so now we're going to send it down to Avali and TSM's Hauntzer.
Thanks, guys. Congratulations on picking up your 3rd win in a row for TSM. What changed in the team that resulted in this incredible performance?
Well, after our loss versus Clutch Gaming, I think 2 weeks ago, we just had a big team meeting, and we're like, what we're doing isn't working out. So we kind of revamped everyone's roles on the team, and I think that really gave us a lot of consistency. And off of that, we were able to practice and learn better. And so now we're just becoming stronger and stronger.
Last week, TSM also went 2-0. I talked to Mike and Mithy, and even after the win and the performance, they both seemed a little bit stressed. When do you, as a player, get to enjoy a victory?
I mean, I think this victory is pretty enjoyable because we all played pretty well. There wasn't too many mistakes. Yeah, I mean, the other victories, there was things we could have done better. As a player, you're always improving, and so I think we just have the mindset that we just really, really want to improve, and a win right now doesn't, it matters, but in the end goal is we just want to get better, right? So that's why they're really hard on themselves. But this victory was pretty nice.
Well, congratulations again. Hope you keep the streak going. And for more of the game, let's hear from the desk.
Thank you very much, Avali. In contrast to the first game, we had a Camille in the top lane, played there by Hauntzer. So not true or only tanks in the top lane. More importantly, TSM moving themselves to an over 500 record.
For the first time all split.
I know, that's
Took
big.
A while.
That's
weird, yeah.
huge to be saying about a 5-time champion, in Bjergsen, right? Yeah. Or the NALCS Kings in TSM, that they were under 500 for so long this split.
And I think the way they won this game in particular was very convincing. It was a really slow early game, some minor trades of kills, but it started picking up in the mid game where TSM used their much stronger team fight comp at this portion of the game to actually start snowballing the lead.
Yeah, you could see FlyQuest was trying to set up a 1-3-1 with Azir and Cho'Gath that was instantly killed. FlyQuest also had a big objective control focus, but they weren't on the same page. TSM clearly was focusing on it, so he couldn't get the Mountain Drake. Then with the double Mountain Drake, they were able to orchestrate some picks into very easy Barons. So I can see why Hauntzer is happy about this one, because there's not too much to nitpick aside from maybe his early death, but the rest of the game was pretty smooth for TSM.
Yep, and that's what you were hoping to see out of them. There's still a little bit of potential improvements to make, but with how strong Baron buff is now, they grabbed their second one, they get all 3 inhibs, and they were able to close the game pretty cleanly here. Final stand by FlyQuest, not going to be able to do much. Turtle gets a little bit of tunnel vision. He wants one trade kill.
Just let me have one, man.
He sees Zven low, 1 auto. Let me get him.
Azir, what even knocked him back at the end? Syndra eat.
Yes,
Yeah, that must have been it.
That happens when I'm losing games. I'm like, if I can just kill this one person, it's a small victory.
Second game of the day, second time, though, that we have seen teams with Baron and Banner not execute perfectly.
Yeah.
You know, and so still looking for some cleanliness around that, but overall, you know, solid control of the game, picking up the Baron and ending it with that is about all they need. And so now it's more about what this means for TSM moving towards the postseason. We called out at the beginning of the day that this game between these two teams in particular was so big because FlyQuest quite probably had the best opportunity to surpass TSM in the standings. Now much more difficult.
Yeah, absolutely. It puts them 3 wins ahead of 7th, pending the result of the Optic game.
Of course.
It ties him with 100 Thieves, who they play tomorrow. And it is trying to set them up for that late season surge. And it's a question that we were trying to answer at the start of the day is like, what breaks up this 3-6? And how do you define who wins? And I feel like for the first time all year, TSM played to what my expectations were before the game. Of like, they're going to be pretty strong in lane. They actually picked for late game, took Gathering Storm on 3 people, but didn't fall behind early due to some clutch, like CSing, honestly, by Zven in that bottom lane that was trying to get pushed in, and they did pretty well.
Yeah, and we talked a lot about at the start of the split, when everything was up in the air, like, you usually need to be around 500 to qualify for playoffs at the 6th, 5th position. And with that loss, only 5 games remaining, FlyQuest needs to basically win 4 or 5 games in a row. Tough, tall order for them, whereas the other teams, like Jat said, sitting at 7 and 6, really fiddling in that position that we were expecting.
Very much so. And if we talk about improvement for TSM, Hauntzer, of course, mentioned that the team did their own kind of rework just a couple weeks ago. But one thing that has remained relatively consistent for this team is their ability to create those early game leads.
Yes.
It just seems that now that the game has changed, those leads are more beneficial.
For sure, and I said previously that TSM was the best team in the league at creating their own advantages and the worst at playing around them. And you can kind of see here, teams that are the best gold difference at 15 this split. I think specifically on this patch, when Baron is stronger, when Second Elder is stronger, it is harder to come back from early deficits. So these 4 teams that have the highest gold differentials at 15, I think are greatly improved for the rest of the split. Yeah.
Come on, they've got a positive.
They're not the worst.
Goal differential of 15. Jat, this should be your glimmer of hope right here.
I mean, I know we're kind of trolling him, but it is true that like CLG has played a much more early game focused snowball style recently.
That is true.
So this could actually be a good patch for them in that sense.
Perhaps the turnaround point.
Yeah, so maybe they can start figuring out exactly how they want to play on this patch.
Yeah, and just like a note, a lot of the teams like Clutch Gaming, if they were picking for early game, their goal to 15 would be better. So like it's not just that they can't perform in this way, but I still think it's an interesting indicator perhaps of future success.
Yeah, and that's why also at the top of the day, we're talking about 8.4 and how it might affect FlyQuest. We weren't very positive on it. You know, we're saying, well, the roamers aren't as strong in the mid lane, Fly's Azir, not that great, and now there's tanks in the top lane. So you have this blind Camille pick by TSM. You know Flame wants to play Gnar, but he doesn't want to play the 1v1 against Hauntzer, so he ends up taking Cho'Gath, which is really not the playstyle we've seen out of them all split long. And so teams like FlyQuest and potentially like Clutch Gaming, who have a later game playstyle, is just not necessarily good for them.
Tangentially related, because it still has to do with champion picks. Let's talk about this Syndra. You just said one really interesting nugget of information, Jad, as we were watching, is that in this Baron, Banner, Cannon minion meta, Syndra is actually kind of a unique pick in her ability to deal with it.
Yeah, because she can just press W on it. It's actually incredibly long range. You basically match the minion pickup range with the range of the siege minion, one of the few skills. You take it all the way back into your base, just throw it into your own cannons and let your AD carry hit it a few times and it's gone.
Right, because now it doesn't have the benefit of being Baron buffed, so therefore you can kill it quite easily. Of course, this time around, they were the ones with the Baron, didn't even come into play. Also had those dematerializers on Mithy for some time. But
this is what we've reached already. Game 2 of 8.4, and we're like, guys,
figured it out.
Syndra, listen to me.
Figured it out. I swear. All right, we're going to step away. When we return, it's Counterlogic Gaming versus Cloud9, whereas Irene, Nadeshot, and Prawley will rather be bringing you the game from the NALCS Lounge on Riot Games 2. We'll see you soon.